Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. His Excellency Kiai Haji Muhammad Hassan Tawakil Alwa SHMN as Director of the Zainul Hasan Genggong Islamic Boarding School. Your Excellency Dr. Abdul Aziz Wahab PEMEG as Director of the Zainul Hasan Genggong Islamic University. Honorable my Supervisor Mr. Muhammad Hifdil Islam MPD and Ms. Dina Agus Haryati MH, who has helped me complete my thesis proposal. Unforgettable to my parents, especially my mother who always give me support. My name is Putri Nabila. I'm a student of English Education Department, Faculty of Educational Scientific and Teaching. Here, I will explain my thesis proposal entitled Exploring the Effectiveness of Duolingo Application in Improving English Listening Skill Among Students of Zainul Hasan Genggong Islamic University. Okay, the next slide, background of study. Duolingo has become a popular tool for improving English listening skill, but its effectiveness remains a challenge to measure at Zainul Hasan Genggong Islamic University. Many students struggle with understanding device accents and varying speech speed because to limited exposure. This study explores how Duolingo helps students improve their listening skill, focusing on accent and speech speed variations. Around 15 English department students use Duolingo because of its flexibility to refine learning and structure listening practice. The application provides exposure to different accents, adapted difficult levels, and measurable progress tracking, while Duolingo offers benefits in independent learning and perseverance in its effectiveness dependent on factors like frequency and use student initial proficiency. This research aims to assess how Duolingo supports student listening skill and identify factor influencing their learning outcomes. And then the next slide, problem of statement. Based on the focus of the problem above, the issue discussed in the study can be formulated. Number one, what is the experience of UNZA student using the Duolingo application to improve their English listening skill? Number two, how does the Duolingo application help UNZA student understand different accent and speaking level in their study routine to improve their English listening skill? And then the next slide, previous studies. Research studies highlight Duolingo role in enhancing English language skill through various research approaches. Key findings include number one is speaking skill improvement. Duolingo games-based feature have refined oral fluency using experimental and phenomenological methods. Number two, effectiveness of Duolingo. The application support language learning goes through technology-driven methods. Number three, university integration. Duolingo can be effectively incorporated into curricula to enhance listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And number four, motivation in learning. Duolingo boosts student engagement and motivation through interactive learning. Number five, vocabulary learning perception. Students respond positively to Duolingo, finding it effective in maintaining interest and preventing boredom. Overall, the studies confirm Duolingo's potential as a valuable language learning tool, improving fluency, motivation, and engagement in education. And then the next slide is a novelty. The novelty, number one, is focused on listening skill. Investigate how Duolingo enhances listening comprehension, specifically in accent and speech speed adoption. And then number two, context-specific insight. Zaima Indonesia University student experience, where exposure to device English accents in minimal. And then number three, real-world application. Evaluate whether Duolingo prepares students for academic and conversational listening. And then the number four, Sage pattern analysis explores how frequency and initial proficiency impact learning outcome, providing insights for optimal using strategies. The study fills these gaps, offering a deeper understanding of Duolingo's role in improving listening skill in non-English speaking settings. And then the next slide, literature of review. So in the digital era, language learning increasingly relies on technology-based application like Duolingo to enhance student skill, especially in listening comprehension, which remain a challenge. This study explores the effectiveness of Duolingo in improving English listening skill among students at Zainul Hasan Genggong Islamic University. And then the main theory from Richard and Mayer, learning is more effective when information is processed through multiple channels like visual and auditory. And then Duolingo applies this theory by integrating text, image, and audio, reinforcing comprehension through coding. And then the APPK manage cognitive load by gradually increasing difficulty, preventing cognitive overload. And supporting theories, and number one from John Weiss and Edward Zingler. Learning is an active process where students build knowledge through experience, and then Duolingo support independent learning, repetition, and feedback to help students control knowledge. And then the number two from Clark and Mayer, effective learning happens when technology engages students actively And then Duolingo enhances interactivity with enhances feedback and gamifying experience, making learning fun and flexible. Number three from Skinner. Immediate feedback reinforces correct responses and corrects mistakes. Duolingo appeals interns feedback after exercises, keeping students aware of their progress. This framework highlights Duolingo's effectiveness in enhancing listening skill through multimedia-based learning, interactive engagement, and immediate feedback, making it a powerful tool for independent English learning. Okay, next slide, conceptual framework. Okay, this figure show a contextual framework of how the Duolingo application plays a role in improving English language skills, specifically in listening, understanding accents, and speaking. Number one is Duolingo is used as the primary tool in learning English, and number two, the main factors that influence learning outcomes are student experience in using the application and the role of Duolingo itself. And the end result is improved listening skill, understanding accents, and speaking abilities. And the next slide, research design. This study exploring qualitative research design to explore student experience using Duolingo to improve their English listening skill. The qualitative approach is concerned to understanding student personal perception and how the application contribute to their learning progress. Case and student methods focus on students at Zainul Hasan Genggong Islamic University who use Duolingo in their study routine. This approach provides an in-depth analysis of how the application is utilized, the challenge faced, and the factor influencing in the effectiveness in enhancing listening skill. And then the next slide, the presence of researchers. Researchers will play an active role in data collection and analysis by conducting semi-structured interviews and observations. Number one is semi-structured interviews, will exploring student experience using Duolingo and its role in improving English listening skill. This method allows flexibility for deeper insight. Observation will assess how students interact with the application, including usage frequency, independent learning practice, and effectiveness in understanding accents and speech speed variations. Internal factors like technical obstacles will also be noted. Throughout the process, researchers will remain objective, acting as facilitators rather than influencing student learning experiences. And then the next slide, search of data. The data search for this study is students from Zainul Hasan Genggong Islamic University who use Duolingo Learn English. Participants will be selected through purposive sampling, focusing on students who actively use Duolingo to improve their English skills. Respondents will include those with different levels of English proficiency and those who have used the application for a specific period. And then the next slide, data collection. This study used multiple data collection techniques to ensure comprehensive and objective findings. Number one is interview, conducted face-to-face or online, 20 or 40 minutes, focus on student experience with Duolingo in improving listening skill. Challenge with accents and speech speed, open-ended questions allow detailed responses. And number two, observation. Researchers will observe students' interactions with the application in natural setting to understanding how they engage with Duolingo for listening practice. And number three, documentation, collecting relevant materials including student progress and challenges to provide additional insights supporting interview, observations, and questionnaires. And number four, questionnaires, a Likert scale 1 and 5 survey to gather quantitative data on student perceptions of Duolingo effectiveness, including features like accent variation, speech speed, and ease of use. And then the next slide, data analysis. This study analyzes Duolingo's effectiveness in improving English listening skill among students at Universitas Islam Zainul Hasan Genggong. Data is collection through interviews, observation, questionnaires, and documentation to provide a comprehensive evaluation. And number one is interview data analysis or thematic analysis. Student responses will be categorized in KDM, effectiveness to student notice improvement in listening skills, challenges, difficulties with accents and speaking speed, and judgment how frequently and for how long they use Duolingo, and the suggestion, student recommendation for application improvement, and then the expanded outcome insight into students' perceived listening improvement and main barriers. Number two, observation data analysis examines Duolingo usage patterns, including frequency, how often students use Duolingo weekly, and exercise preference, listening activities, accents, and speaking speed, and judgment level, active participation, for example, repeating exercise. And then the expanded outcome, a direct understanding of student interaction with Duolingo in real learning settings. And number three, questionnaires data analysis, descriptive statistics, measure students' satisfaction levels, and correlation analysis, examine relationship between usage frequency and perceived listening improvement. Comparison, too frequent users report higher satisfaction, and the expected outcome, quantitative evidence of Duolingo's impact on listening skill and user satisfaction. Number 4, documentation data analysis, progress tracking, evaluate improvement in listening scores over time. Usage patterns, examines if consistent users show better progress. And then the expected outcome, objective data on student progress and learning trends. This multi-method approach ensures a detailed assessment of how Duolingo enhances student English listening skills and identifies potential areas for improvement. And the next slide is trustworthiness. To enhances the credibility and trustworthiness of the research, the following strategies will be implemented. Number one is data triangulation, combining interview and questionnaires to cross-validate finding and readers' bias. Number two, member checking, re-verifying interview result with student to answer accurate interpretation. And number three, audit trail, documenting every research step for transparency and consistency. And number four, self-reflection, acknowledging and minimizing researchers' bias during data collection and analysis. This step will ensure valid and reliable finding on Duolingo effectiveness in improving English listening skill among UNZA students. Okay, I think that's it for me. When I say something wrong, I'm so sorry. And wallahu muwaffiq lakum min taufiq. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.